Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Greetings, my fellow beings. Hope you're well wherever you are. And welcome to another one of our Sunday collective meditation and just having a little bit of a uh, insight into the dynamics that we're all currently facing at the moment. So, we will have noticed that the weather is quite beautiful in England with a remarkable transformation of autumn, and this transformation from the fluorescent green, luxurious um, 2 months ago is now moving into this multitude colors where we had shades of greens and yellows. We now have a whole range of colors, coppers, gold, bronze, green, and everything else in between. This is our insight into the changing paradigm. This is how the changing paradigm will manifest over the next few weeks, if not certainly few months, but certainly over the next few weeks. Where, what do we mean by a paradigm shift? A paradigm shift is when all that we think at the moment life may offer us. So, for example, if I'm a young student, I may consider, I have the possibility of graduating, possibility of getting into some kind of corporation, training scheme, develop myself, and then as I move along, go into the corporate ladder and become successful, get myself whatever those measures of success that we have been conditioned into, be it a partner, be it a car, be it a house, be it etc., etc. Well, that worldview, when you wake up and you realize that none of those things are now possible, you realize that the whole education system seems to be in a kind of a moment of transition where you have teachings, you have learnings, but there doesn't seem to be appropriate to the emerging needs out there. You find that within the system where we felt that, I could get a job at my local supermarket, become a manager, we now realize that the disruption in supply chain that we have been forecasting now for several months is now upon us, and the shelves are starting to become less and less fulfilled, and prices in food are starting to escalate. And you may get to a stage where we as humanity are, and all of this is manufactured. All of this is manufactured while moving from summer into autumn is an organic process at a kind of a cosmic level. At a micro level, we can look at it in a different way. The same is true here. At a micro level, a group of individuals, together with corporations, together with pharmaceutical companies, together with governments, together with authority figures, have effectively deceived, betrayed, and oppressed and tyrannized a whole population in humanity in a very systematic way. And we have to realize that this systematic way of overcoming freedom must be well coordinated, must be done with the same hand, with the same agenda. And we begin to realize as we see of the thing that I'm unable to say. I mean, this is the ridiculous nature of where we are, where we get censored and offended because we speak in a particular way, and we get offended. And as a community, a minority that was made to feel invisible, hated, or at best indifferent, Um, I know what it means. I know what it feels like growing in a country where you are oppressed for the way you look, the way you are. So now this oppression is on the way you speak, the way you think, the way you communicate, who you communicate with. If you question how your children are being medicated, if you question how your children are being, identities are being disrupted simply through politics that have been, politics that have entered within education to move certain types of thinking in certain paradigm. This paradigm is now coming to a close. Thank God. And when I say it's coming to a close, what I'm saying is that the shift, although painful, is upon us now. And we will begin to recognize as we go along, step by step, day by day, week by week, hour by hour, event by event, we will begin to realize that the old paradigm, where you could just grab a ticket and fly to any part of the world and have a lovely vacation, may be hard to come by. When you realize that being able to work at your local grocery shop may be a thing of the past. When you begin to realize that actually maybe farming is the way forward. When you begin to think maybe, you know what, dependency on anything is actually a form of slavery. So, therefore, if we as human beings can be brought from a dependency culture to a culture of sovereignty, you can see the hope in that. You can see how we move from a karmic, an action done in doubt, param, in doubt, an action done with the ownership of sense of self, has led us to this egocentric interplay with a whole range of different players. And the ego always wants power, stability, and strength, always through the oppression of the other, right? And so this macro ego is just gone for it. Unfortunately, humanity is waking up because the consequences are upon us. The consequences are upon us. The consequences upon the intervention that can't be reversed. The consequences upon us from the fact that the intervention that can't be reversed doesn't protect us. The consequences of the fact that we ignored the initial concerns about children being targeted when they have a 0.5% of actually having the dreaded C word, and yet, a substantial impact, deterioration of health if they have the irreversible intervention. And these consequences of the supply chain, jobs, job market, working environment, the commercial industry. Now people don't want to go to offices, or maybe they do, or maybe some of them do. So commercial properties are now starting to become idle. So someone has to pay for this. So this change has to go on. And in this change, that's where the difficulty arises. And when I say difficulty, it's simply the adjustment, the way we adjust to the new set of circumstances in a way in which we are driven. But what can I do that through the benefit of others would also benefit me? So, for example, if one has the skills and some has the skills and also the energy, the green fingers thing. If one has that, then maybe, production of food, micronutrients, growing seeds, those kind of ideas, those kind of understandings to be shared, to be done, to be traded, where we become sovereign. We become sovereign in ourselves. And through our abundance, the whole universe is abundant. You've got to understand this. The whole universe is abundant. The food tomorrow that every single living being is going to eat is already in place. Just like the food that you are eating today was already in place. And it will be like this, always has been like this. Life and death are two parts of the same coin. Living is not opposite of dying. Life and death are actually the experience of being human. This whole experience, once we begin to see it with this broader prospect, once we begin to see that the old paradigm, no point in crying over it, it served us well. Yes, we all did what we could out of it, but now the time to move on, time to go forward, time to move from Karam to Dharam, but overcoming param, doubt, from action to ethical living, not morality, not ethics, not something that I believe in saving the world and I do a little bit of recycling and that somehow will save the world. No, don't give yourself an ego trip, right? The world existence is in care of itself. You pollute it too much, it will wipe you out and it will reestablish itself. You don't matter. None of us matter in the cosmic space. Our little tiny little egos get so fixated that we begin to live in that psychodrama that we create. And that begins to become the very seed, the kernel of our ill health, our conflict, our strife. There's an easier way of living. There are easier way of being. And that easier way of being first begins with our awareness. First, to detach ourselves from our psychodramas, to detach ourselves from our sensations, to detach, to step back. When I say detach, it's an experience, right? I'm not saying we deny the experience. There are those sensitive people who will always kind of twist your words in order to kind of serve an agenda. But so I'm not saying that we are detaching from life. No, we are detaching from our worldview and our psychodrama. So we can have awareness, yeah, not denying it, still become aware of that which is without the pollution of our conditioned sense of self. And in that experience of meditation, in that experience of becoming present, we also, there's a emergence. So there's um, a movement away to, so think of it as a spectrum, okay? So at one end of the spectrum, we are kind of engrossed in the mental space. We identify with the ego. Woe is me. I'm going to die. Oh my God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Overwhelmed with what's going on. And as we do meditation, we begin to separate from this sense of self slowly. And this other hand, my right hand, represents awareness. And this awareness becomes more aware. And therefore, it begins to recognize the content of its mind. And it recognizes how this content of the mind creates the emotional space and how that emotional space is then manifesting within the body. And you can kind of, do certain things in order to help you relieve if you are feeling distressed in any way. Anyway, so we're moving back, we come to this space of greater awareness, and in that awareness, new properties emerge. The property of singularity, that there's only one of you there. The property that everything around you is in a constant state of movement and process, not just random movement, but processes. The process of the trees moving and the leaves changing their color, the process that we are moving through in the manufactured crisis, the process of the breath moving, the process of the heart beating. All of this is happening without your intervention. This realization is what we call hukam. This realization is recognizing the organic process that is unfolding by itself in a way that is conscious and in a way that is evolving, always evolving, always evolving. That's the second part. Through the breath, realize within that sense of self that there is a stillness, that while I am, as the observer, static, inverted commas, all that's around me is moving. All that around me is moving. And if you were moving with it, then you wouldn't be able to recognize it. So it helps you in this separation, recognizing this. The third part of, or fourth part of this is that there is this realization that this whole experience is a process which is executed through this form that you call body, which is conscious of itself, and it's a movement, it's a flowing. That you are not a static being, whatever you identify yourself with, that this awareness that is occupying this process, this body, the body part is all flowing. It's all a process of a flow, a happening. And in this moment of now, and because it's a happening, the past doesn't exist and the future doesn't exist. Only the moment of happening is. Can't even say it exists. We can just say it is. And that moment of happening as it's moving has no future, so no fear, has no past, so it has no hate. Nirpal, nirvar. And this moment of happening in itself has no time. It is always now. It's eternally now. You and I and all that there is always in the eternal now and always will be. We can never stop ourselves having an experience. Even sleeping is having an experience. Even being unconscious is having an experience. So we can never deny ourselves having an experience. It's a process. So the happening has no fear, no past, no hate. And as a result, it is in the present moment. And because it's a happening, it isn't born. It has no birth. It has nothing that emanates from. It isn't like a mother that gives birth to a child that becomes like the mother. No, on the contrary. On the contrary, it is a happening that has no birth. And because it has no birth, it has no death. It'll always be a happening. Always is a happening, always will be a happening. And it creates itself. It's doing it by itself. There is nothing else doing it. It's doing it by itself. Saibang, it's a fractal. And in that process of awareness, in that moment of awareness, one may realize, and it's a realization that is gifted upon individual. It's not necessarily something you can induce. That this is such a unique moment of being alive now, with all that are around you and all that is happening. And in this moment, like every other moment, you at your essential self are untouched, absolutely untouched and sovereign. And all that is happening around you, simply by recognizing this, begins to change its impact on you, begins to change its energetic hold on you, and begins to become, it's not that you renounce, but you learn that there is no point on holding when something is changing. And this is the first primary understanding we will help in this movement from the old paradigm into the new paradigm, from the paradigm that was to a paradigm that can be, a paradigm in which you and I and everyone else is playing the role that needs to be played. Don't fret, don't take life too seriously, and let's meditate. Okay. So if you get yourself into a nice relaxed posture, so I suggest if you sit yourself comfortably, as I will. Okay. And if you just close your eyes, stretch your back, pull your shoulders back. And if you imagine that you're being pulled by the top of your hair, your head, neck, spine, aligns in a way, I suppose. And remember that in this meditation that we are doing, as we step into this silent space, it's a place in which, in the silence, there is much transmission. There is much understanding and insight that we recognize assists us in life as we go along. So it's important to recognize that what is not you doing, it's what is. It's being present to the suchness of life. So as you breathe in, becoming aware of your entire body, suchness of life, tat. And then even if you deny that you exist, you have to exist to deny yourself. You exist. Suchness of life. And in this existence, you actually had no part. It's that which happened to you and is happening to you. And this you is the you that we conditioned ourselves into thinking we are. It is simply the ocean that creates a wave. We mistakenly think we are the wave. That's what I mean by the you. That mistake. Breathing in, becoming aware of your body as best as you can. Scanning it from the top all the way to the bottom. Seeking any signal. So, an ache or pain. And even this experience existing in your body are but a fleet. Tomorrow everything changes. Just sense your body as best as you can. And then see if you can notice the kind of thoughts you're having or have been having. The remarkable nature of life. The fact that you can think. And not just you can think, but you can know that you're thinking. You can know the kind of thought you're having. Suchness of life. Not your doing. Focus to your chest. Noticing the movement of your chest. All by itself. Suchness of life. It's how you feel. The fact you can experience suffering. You can experience fear. You can experience anger. Experience distress. And then you experience joy, happiness, contentment, calmness, tranquility. How do you feel right now? Is this moment comfortable? Comfortable? Then we can say we are in sukh. If we are uncomfortable, we are dukh. Within yourself, how do you feel? Experience that. How remarkable is that? On your next breath in, bring your focus now to your seat or wherever your body makes contact with whatever you're sitting or lying on. Notice that you can sense where the body makes contact. Where did you get this ability from? Suchness of life. As you breathe in, notice that you can bring your awareness up towards your hips. You can scan your hips, the sides, the back, and the front. Gently bringing this awareness, knees. From your knees, we move down towards our ankles, feet, soles of our feet. Bring your focus back to whatever the body begins to feel. You, it's the only air that you can breathe. And the environment around, if you feel warm, if you feel cold, if you feel the air, all the environment you can all be in. Wherever you are, can't be anywhere else. And the ground beneath you is the only ground that can support you. And this body, which is located in this moment as a happening, is moving from itself. It's a happening. This moment to the next moment and the next moment connects you to all that ever has been and all the moments that ever will be. Suchness of life. Bring your focus gently up from your back towards your middle back, up towards your shoulder blades. Notice the shoulders. Move down from your shoulders to your elbows, from your elbows to your wrists. Notice the palms of your hands. Notice the fingers on your hands. Bringing your focus now to your eyes. Start becoming aware of darkness in front of you, that which you have awareness of. So even though your eyes are closed, you have awareness of darkness. Notice that you can become aware from the back of your head, slowly moving your awareness towards the sides and then moving so you become aware of the back of your head as best as you can. As you breathe out, relax your eyes. Next breath in, bring your focus to your mouth. Notice your tongue. Does it feel firm? Allow it to soften. Notice the sensations within your mouth. And as you breathe out, relaxing. And as the next breath comes in, once again, becoming aware of your whole self as best as you can. Notice, are there any thoughts? Are there any sensations? Are there that are dominant? Listen to all that's around you. All that is happening around us can be summarized in the sound of this bell. It has a start, it develops, and then, just as it began from silence, it submerges itself in the silence. Gently bringing your focus just beneath your nose and begin to watch your breath. Allowing it to breathe by itself. Notice how the in-breath happens by itself. The out-breath happens by itself. Stops. And the in-breath knows exactly how much to, when to stop. The out-breath knows exactly when to stop. Notice how there is a little gap at the end of your out-breath before the in-breath begins. Allow your awareness to simply follow your out-breath and notice exactly when it finishes before the gap begins. And sometimes when we do this, we may feel a slight discomfort. See it as a feeling, go back to your breath. Stay with your breath. Following your out breath, and with every out breath, notice how you get greater awareness of your breath. Notice how you're breathing now. How does your breath feel? Stay with your breath. How does it feel? Does it feel slow or does it feel fast? Getting a greater awareness of our breath. Long or does it feel short? Does it flow evenly or does it feel erratic? Does your breath feel smooth or does it feel erratic? Life. Things are the way they are. If the breath is fast, no need to make it small. No need to make it fast. Things are suchness of your breath. Does your breath have a sound? On your next breath out, gently opening your awareness, begin to listen to the sounds around you. Voices that are around you. Don't look for them. Don't seek them out. Don't judge them. Don't comment on them. Simply listen, acting like a sound receiver, a magnet, allowing the various noises simply to come to you. Listening. Focus on the silence as best as you can at the end of this spell. Bringing your focus to the qualities of your experience. Does it feel still? Does it feel silent? Does it feel peaceful? Does it feel calm? Notice there's only one of you having an experience. Your individuality, your consciousness, experiencing the moment of now. And in this moment of now, everything around you is all moving by its own pattern. Your breath, start, middle, end, as it comes in, as it goes out, all that's happening around you. Everything moving within you, everything moving without you. Yet you begin to remain still, watching. Bringing your focus now just beneath your nose, recognizing that movement. Start, middle, end, start, middle, end. That you are the observer while the breath moves. And if you gently expand your awareness, becoming aware of your whole body as best as you. You have awareness of your body. You can sense it. And while this entire body changes, moment by moment, chemical changes, neural changes, electrochemical changes, the awareness remains still. It's a happening. You are the carrier in the happening, the awareness, the rider in the chariot. And if you bring your focus towards your chest, moving a bit deeper, such that you can almost read your heart. How do you feel? Any hate? Is because you're not thinking about the past, there's no hate. Not thinking about tomorrow, there's no fear. Coming back to your breath. Notice that this moment is timeless. In fact, neither can you determine your age as you look within, nor your gender. Yes, a call beyond time. This is your true form. In this happening, you are the awareness. If you want to give a you-ness to it, but simply is a happening in the ocean of existence. As you breathe in, bring your focus to your chair, whatever you're sitting on. Notice you're still held in place. Notice that your back is still straight and upright. That you can sense your thighs all the way down to your feet. And you can even sense the soles of your feet. And if you wish to wriggle your feet, you can do that too. Or wriggle your toes. Coming back to whatever you're sitting on. The back being straight, upright. Shoulders, arms, leg, hands being comfortable. Eyes are still closed, mouth is still closed, and the face is relaxed. Coming back to your breath. And now as you breathe in, you sense your body, you breathe out, you sense your body. Holding on to the deep, still peace. And when you hear the next bell, drawing a few slow, deep breaths in, and then gently opening your eyes if you wish.